Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Loresworn Order plays Hearts of Iron for Kaiserreich. This is an alpha mod for Hearts of Iron 4 that assumes what if Germany had won World War One.
Which is a very fascinating alternate history scenario in my book.
I am TJ Hafer, and appropriate with me is our World War One buff DM Schmeier.
Word.
So how likely, let's start out, how likely is maybe not this exact scenario that
I was going to say this exact scenario, I don't think likely at all.
Yeah.
But creative, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I love what they've done. It's narratively compelling.
Yeah.
Very talented. How likely could Germany have won World War One without the setup I'm getting here for this mod is that America, the United States, withheld aid completely.
That's a big part of it. Yeah.
That's the tipping point. As in trade, military, like they stayed truly neutral. They went Swiss on the conflict. And here's where y'all might say, okay, he's a homer. But without American aid in any capacity, Germany wins World War One. It's not even a likelihood. I think it's 99.9% going to happen. When the Soviet Union, or formerly the Russian Empire, toppled in 1917 and the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk was signed, we talked about this in Battlefield 1, a massive quantity of German troops who had not experienced the trenches and who had just experienced overwhelming, crushing victory year after year was freed up. They were sent to the Western Front, immediately giving Germany a staggering advantage in men, material, population capacity. Germany had a higher population than England and France did to sort of begin with, so a deeper pool of manpower, to quote a Hearts of Iron term. And suddenly the ability to not fight a two-front war, adding to the fact that noble France was buckling, all of the fighting had taken place on her soil, men had suffered grievously, the mutinies were happening. Let me just put it this way. We call it the Second Battle of the Marne for a reason, folks. Germany was outside of Paris again after that final offensive. The Allies held firm, and heroism from all three major Allied nations, including the United States of America, halted the German advance. It was their last gasp, their last offensive, and the casualties and the just exhalation of its failure spelled the end of Germany. And within months, the Allies had sent them careening back to their own territory, utterly defeated. Without the United States there, and without the benefit of United States trade, I can't see a plausible scenario where that offensive doesn't work, I guess what I'm talking about. Like, how a less capable, less armed, less well-fed Britain and France hold that off by themselves, possibly even more depleted because of said economic woes, beats me. If you have a theory, let me know in the comments. But it's my personal opinion that the United States was even more instrumental in World War One than they were in World War Two. So,
well, and the interesting thing about this 1936 scenario is not only do we have the German and Austrian empires, but basically this assumes that France and Britain have both gone syndicalist.
Yes.
In reaction to the loss in the First World War. Philip Snowden is the leader of the Union of Britain. The actual British royal family has gone to take refuge in Canada.
The Dominion of Canada.
Under George V.
Let's see what the other nations are. I want to see all they got.
Yeah, there's the Commune of France, Kingdom of Spain. Interestingly enough, Russia does not go communist in this scenario. We still have Alexander Kerensky and a social liberal Russia, led Russia, at least at the beginning.
Interesting.
Although they do have a Soviet threat modifier, the continuing instability and strength of the Red influences forced us to compromise with the proletariat after the Civil War. So
the whites won. In this scenario,
it was some sort of a negotiated peace. As
Interesting.
Being,
Interesting. I think that's fascinating.
So the German Empire, they control East Prussia, they control Danzig, all this stuff here.
There is no Poland.
I think that Poland and Bohemia might be puppet states of theirs.
Well, possibly. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Ukraine and Ruthenia are, I believe, independent puppets of Russia. We'll have to find out.
The Ottomans still exist?
Yeah, Romania is actually national populist.
The Ottomans exist.
Ottoman
still.
Empire is still around, although they've lost a lot of territory to Bulgaria and Greece. Germany has very large colonial holdings that they seized.
As they would.
During the...
Germany's goals in World War I were very imperialistic.
Madagascar, we've got German Middle Africa. They have basically a company that administers Southeast Asia, whereas the Qing Empire is still dominant in the north. But yeah, like a lot of these territories that were Allied possessions in real 1936 are actually German possessions in the Kaiserreich scenario. There's a lot of backstory on this, and we haven't had time to read all of it.
We will.
But
we'll come to each episode knowing more. Definitely. What's going on in the U.S.?
So the U.S. is still the U.S. They're led by the Republicans. It's not absurdly different from real history.
Only that FDR never came to power.
Yeah,
probably because there was never a Great Depression.
Yeah, market liberals. So the U.S. they're not really fleshed out yet, which is part of the reason we're not going to play as the U.S.
No.
They don't even have a focus tree.
We've decided prior to this, we're going to play as the German Empire that never was, because we think it's an interesting challenge to try to hold together the world order that their victory has created.
Especially as we're going to see here, Victors of the Weltkrieg gives us some huge debuffs, actually, in terms of research, doctrine time, because we won. So it's like, why would we need to innovate? Colonial upkeep gives us a lot of consumer factories and supply consumption, and then quenched militarism. The German people are not as angry as they were in 1936 historically. They're pretty satisfied that they won.
Which is an interesting challenge. Like, I seriously enjoy that.
Yeah, a lot of our focuses are going to be based around getting rid of these terrible modifiers.
Well, getting our country ready for what seems like a communist attack. Like, that seems to be...
That's part of why, we've talked about, it's not super historical, but they did what they needed to do to make an interesting scenario.
It's clearly narrative. Like, their goals here...
They wanted a strong Britain-France axis to oppose Germany.
And have just an interesting world to play in. I don't think when they made this, they were like, let's come up with the most plausible scenario we possibly can.
Right.
The most plausible scenario they could possibly come up with might have been boring.
Yeah.
This is anything but boring.
Yeah, so you'll notice there's a lot more parties in this mod than there are in default Hearts of Iron 4. There are lots of ideologies, everything from... there's syndicalism in addition to like Bolshevism in Russia. I think the Mensheviks, Social Democrats. Yeah, there's a lot more than just democracy, fascism, and socialism. They've actually broken it out into all these smaller. So Germany's actually an authoritarian democracy under Wilhelm II, Kaiser Wilhelm II in 36. So let's get started here.
Let's just do it. I'm looking forward to seeing focus trees and stuff.
Yeah, we'll stop at the beginning here to take a look at the German.
Explore our holdings. Yeah.
Loading graphics. And
I'm excited.
This is an alpha. This is version 0.2. They do have the benefit that they're working off of previous versions of the Kaiserreich mod from previous versions of Hearts of Iron, but it's definitely not complete, and they're definitely still fixing bugs here. So we have the military expansion path, which is probably something we're going to take eventually, which basically gives us research bonuses for the most part. Expand the naval industry.
Listen, he donates. I love it.
Donitz wants us to have fleet in being, and then Patzig and Raider want us to go with base strike doctrine. Then we can get Deutschland rules the waves, which is pretty interesting. Here's the really interesting stuff, though, is the political tree. So, Imperial Restructuring is the start of the tree. Well, it's undeniable the German Empire is the greatest nation to ever grace the pages of history. There is always room for improvement. In light of recent shortcomings of our policies, we should look into various changes and reforms that so we can make a better future.
I like it.
Aftermath of Black Monday. So the Great Depression
Is happening late.
hasn't happened yet. In default Hearts of Iron, Black Monday kind of happens after the game already starts, but they, for simplicity reasons, made it so that everyone just starts in the Great Depression. But after 3rd of August 1936, changes in the world situation may affect this. So we're not quite sure what it's going to do yet. So there's the Kaiserbund proposal, where we can sort of decide on our colonial policy. The Liberal Party of the Reichstag, but also some individuals from the right and left have for some time been discussing setting up a Kaiserbund, a German variant of the British Commonwealth. The colonies have become expensive to maintain, and centralized government of them have turned out to be very efficient. Perhaps reform is on the way. So this is where we can kind of create dominions, get rid of that colonial upkeep modifier. Madagascar, Morocco, Sierra Leone, Indian Ocean, Indochina.
And
Then if we finish the project, we get a whole bunch of events about how we're going to split up our colonies.
That's awesome.
So we've got the Heimat focus. If we're to ensure security and prosperity of our home provinces, we must reconfigure our internal policies. We should also consider funding various science projects that can benefit our efforts. So we get extra research funding. We get to determine the fate of the syndicalists, basically. Maneuvers in Alsace-Lothringen, which is similar to what actually happened in real World War II. And put the syndicalists back in their place. We can invest in these industrial corporations.
I think this is fun.
The Kaiser Wilhelm Society gives us an extra research slot. And then we have 8 our allies. We can actually side with Ireland against syndicalist Britain and bring them into our faction. We can send a military mission to the Cossacks out on the steppes to help combat against the Russian Empire, which might very well likely, since we have historical focuses on, is probably going to become the Soviet Union. And we can even invite the Burmese to our faction.
This is cool.
Yeah, very, very cool.
I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun.
So we can't take this yet because world tension has to be 10%. So I think we should probably go down the Imperial Restructure.
Yeah, let's get the nation into the late 30s.
Yeah, definitely.
To quote. All right, research slot. 4
research slots starting. So yeah, faster research. I think these are pretty similar to the
much
tech
the
trees.
same, right?
We still get
German,
the Panzers.
German armor would probably be the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Let's see. So we want to get some industry going here.
Yes, we do.
Machine tools, always nice to have.
Always.
Doctrine-wise, we actually have some interesting options here. So if we want to go for like a historical 1940s German army, mobile warfare...
I don't know that there's any reason, like, if we're trying to sort of stick true to our setting here, I don't know that there's any reason for the Kaiserreich to develop a Blitzkrieg doctrine.
It's true. We're more on the defensive than we are on the offensive. So
here's the thing. The Grand Battle Plan doctrine seems most right to the military culture of the Second Reich to me. I think German General Staff...
I agree with
the legacy of Hindenburg. So let's do it.
Yeah, I think that actually makes the most sense. Mm-hmm. By the way, Wilhelm II...
He's still alive.
Doesn't give any specific bonuses. That's they made some really nice portraits for this. So we have volunteer only, export focus, civilian economy. So these are new things that were added for this mod. Is stability. So if we get low stability, it reduces our production efficiency, factory output, division organization, national unity. Good stability gives us bonuses to factory output and national unity. And I think that can go down based on certain events, and then we pay political power to buy it back up.
Right on.
And then party popularity, we can also spend our political power to
I
gain
love that they've
more
done
political
something
power.
to make political power useful. That's tremendous.
And then decisions will show up here, which are
the national events.
So we've got Franz von Papen is our head of government. He's an authoritarian Democrat. Foreign Minister Friedrich Werner von der Schulenburg. Also an authoritarian Democrat. Hjalmar Schacht is our economic minister, and Karl von Schubert, our intel
Karl
minister.
von Schubert.
Yeah.
It's fun. I actually know a Karl von Schubert, so that's kind of cool for me.
That's pretty funny.
He's a great guy.
So yeah, they haven't.
Hi, Karl, if you're watching.
They haven't really fleshed out these. Well, actually, never mind. I take that back. So instead of having specific companies for specific things, we just get 6 slots for companies, and we can pick any 6 companies.
That's glorious. Right on.
So yeah, we'll have to definitely look through those.
We will.
And then our military high command is
what I love
basically
about
the
this?
same as default.
And what I love about this, and we've had conversations about this, and you're going to see us do stuff more in this vein, is we're experiencing something for the first time with y'all on microphone. We're going to do more of that. This is a lot of fun. So I hope you guys like this direction, because you're going to see more of it.
So faction-wise, Mitteleuropa is us. We also have Lithuania, the United Baltic Duchy. We have White Ruthenia and the Kingdom of the Ukraine are in our faction. So actually, Poland and Bohemia are not, interestingly enough. Do we have them as puppets, though?
So diplomatically, what's our focus here?
Well, our main opposition is the Third Internationale, which currently consists of France and the Socialist Republic of Italy, which is basically Sicily. The Italian Federation are they're authoritarian Democrats.
We outmatch our primary rivals
interestingly,
tremendously.
Pope Pius XI is the leader of the Italian Federation, apparently. So
interesting.
I guess we put the Pope in charge of Italy when we won the Weltkrieg there. The Entente is still around, the Dominion of Canada, and Free France, which currently only exists in Africa. Also the British Dominion of India, which has actually lost territory to the Princely Federation, and I think they are authoritarian Democrats. Osman Ali Khan, I think he's an Ottoman successor. And then we have actually a communist, radical socialist kind of Bengali state over
Fascinating.
here, which is interesting. Australia is still part of the Entente. So is New Zealand, but yeah, not doing as well as they did historically.
Seems like we're going to be short on friends.
And we also got French Indochina apparently. And this is the Allgemeine Ostasian Gesellschaft, which is the company we've set up to administer the part of China. It's literally a corporation, I think, that's set up to administer the part of China that we took during the First World War.
So our focus is basically going to be insular. We're going to be trying to build our complacent, it sounds like, society back up because the wolves are at the door.
Well, and I know that
the Austrian Empire is probably a pretty good call.
The Austrians actually have a choice where they can go completely against us. So we'll have to see what they end up doing, since I don't know what the quote-unquote historical path is.
Yep.
But yeah, I think getting these other authoritarian democracies on our side is definitely going to be a smart bet.
It is.
We should start expanding our civilian infrastructure as always. Particularly... Oh wow, we start with a lot of factories. We have some free military factories. We're not currently training anything. But our divisions are going to need... I guess we'll have to unpause to see what they actually need.
Alright.
Upgrades, reinforcements, yeah. So let's start building...
building our weapons.
Carabiner 98Ks. Always need support equipment. Probably going to need some trucks. Pretty good bet that we're going to need some artillery, especially if we're going for Grand Battle Plan.
And the Panzers.
Some Panzer ones. So, yeah, why not? I'm going to actually build a bunch of each of these, and then we'll just see where that puts us.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, wait, do we have... Actually, we probably want to add some aircraft to that. So we'll... Definitely fighters. Definitely close air support. Ju-87.
That's what we got right now. We'll
Yeah,
get
I'm
better.
making sure there isn't a better option for CAS at this point. Okay, so that's pretty good use of our factories.